The chandelier above the long mahogany table in my son Maxwell's Lake Forest mansion caught every flicker of candlelight that evening, turning the crystal into 1,000 tiny stars. 20 family members and close friends laughed, clinked glasses, and toasted Maxwell's latest business acquisition. I sat at the head, quiet, proud, until my eyes drifted to the far end of the table where Catherine, his wife of 12 years, reached under the tablecloth and slipped a small glass vial into Maxwell's wine glass. The liquid was clear, odorless, invisible in the deep red Cabernet. She stirred it once with her spoon, casual as adding sugar, then smiled at him like she always did. My heart stopped. I excused myself, walked to the hallway, and dialed 911 with shaking fingers. "My daughter-in-law just poisoned my son," I whispered. "Send help now." If you've ever watched someone you love walk straight into danger while the room smiled around them, drop a comment below with if that moment still haunts you. Your stories remind me we're never truly alone in the dark. Welcome back to your ultimate destination for gripping revenge stories, family betrayals, shocking betrayals, and emotional justice. Subscribe now and join a community and tell us where you're watching from. Turn on the notification bell for our next story. Are you ready to witness the ultimate payback? Let's get started. I am Mr. Zaha, and I'm 68 years old man. I built Zaha Enterprises from a single truck and a dream in the late 1970s. Chicago's South Side was hard then. Steel mills closing, jobs vanishing, people whispering that a Nigerian immigrant with a name no one could pronounce would never last. But Zaha means radiance in the old tongue, and I refused to let mine dim. Grace, my wife, my compass, kept me steady until cancer took her at 49. Maxwell was 21, already at Northwestern on a scholarship I'd bled for. He didn't cry at her funeral. He just squeezed my hand so hard I thought the bones would crack, then whispered, "I'll make you proud, Dad." He did. Top of his class, MBA from Booth, then straight into private equity. By 35, he was managing director at a firm downtown. By 40, he'd started his own fund, Zaha Capital, specializing in distressed assets. He turned failing companies around, sold them for multiples, made headlines in cranes. The mansion in Lake Forest came next, 10,000 square feet, lake views, a wine cellar bigger than our old Englewood kitchen. Catherine entered the picture 8 years ago, poised, beautiful, Harvard Law, daughter of old North Shore money. They married in a garden ceremony at her parents' estate. Maxwell looked at her the way I once looked at Grace, like she was the only light in the room that I was happy for him. Truly. But happiness has edges. The invitations to the mansion grew rarer after the wedding. Holidays became formal, catered, timed, polite. Maxwell called less, texted more. When he did call, it was always about business. "Dad, you should diversify the portfolio." "Dad, the company's valuation is stagnant. Maybe sell." I listened. I smiled. I kept the old Hyde Park house, the roses Grace planted, the porch swing where we used to sit and talk about nothing important. The last year had been different. Maxwell started inviting me to more dinners, monthly, then bi-weekly. "We miss you, Dad," he'd say. Catherine would echo it, hand on his arm, smile perfect. I went, watched them, noticed things. Maxwell had lost weight. His hands trembled sometimes when he lifted a glass. He laughed too loudly at things that weren't funny. Catherine hovered, concerned, attentive, always refilling his drink, always touching his shoulder like she was steadying him. Once I caught her slipping something into his coffee when she thought I was looking at my phone. A small white pill. She saw me watching, smiled. "Just his vitamins, Mr. Zaha. He forgets." I didn't push, but I started paying attention. The night of the dinner was Maxwell's 42nd birthday. Black tie, 50 guests, string quartet, champagne tower. I wore the tuxedo Grace bought me for our 30th anniversary, still fit, barely. I arrived early, helped the staff arrange flowers because old habits die hard. Maxwell greeted me at the door, hugged too tight, smiled too wide. "Dad, you made it." "Wouldn't miss it," I said. Catherine appeared behind him. Emerald gown, diamonds at her throat, hair swept up. "Mr. Zaha, you look wonderful." Kiss on the cheek. Perfume expensive and sharp. Dinner started at 8. Toasts. Laughter. Stories about Maxwell's latest deal, $400 million turnaround. Headlines calling him a genius. He raised his glass, hand steady for the first time in months. "To family," he said. the one that builds you up. Everyone drank. I watched Catherine. She waited until the main course plates were cleared. While servers distracted the table with dessert menus, she reached under the tablecloth. Small glass vial, clear, no label. 2 drops into Maxwell's wine. Stir. The red swallowed it whole. Maxwell lifted the glass. My pulse roared in my ears. I stood. Excuse me. Restroom. I walked, calm, measured, down the hallway lined with modern art. Locked myself in the guest bathroom. Pulled out my phone. Lake Forest Police and EMS. My son Maxwell Zaha. His wife just put something in his drink. I saw it. Clear liquid from a vial. He's about to drink it. Send help now. Quietly. No sirens yet. The operator asked questions. I answered in whispers. Stay on the line if you can. I can't. They'll notice I'm gone too long. I hung up. Splashed water on my face. Looked at myself in the mirror. 68. Gray hair. Eyes still sharp. Grace's eyes. Maxwell always said that I returned to the table. Maxwell's glass was half empty. Catherine smiled at me. Everything okay, Mr. Zaha? Fine, I said. Just old man bladder. Laughter around the table. I sat. Watched. Waited. 10 minutes passed. Maxwell rubbed his temple. Headache coming on. Catherine touched his arm. Maybe too much wine, darling. Another 10. His color paled. Speech slurred slightly. I feel strange. Catherine stood. Let's get you upstairs. You've had a long day. Guests murmured concerned. I stood too. I'll help. Catherine's smile tightened. No need, Mr. Zaha. I've got him. I stepped closer. I insist. Maxwell swayed. I caught his elbow. Sirens. Distant. Then closer. Catherine's eyes flicked to the windows. Maxwell slumped against me. Dad, something's wrong. I lowered him to the floor. Checked his pulse. Fast. Freddie. Guests gasped. Someone screamed. Catherine backed away. He just needs rest. Police burst through the front doors. Uniforms, paramedics behind them. Everyone stay where you are. The lead officer barked. I looked up at Catherine. She stared back. No tears, no panic. Just cold calculation. Then she turned and ran. Toward the kitchen, toward the side exit. Officers pursued. Paramedics swarmed Maxwell. I knelt beside him. Held his hand. Stay with me, son. His eyes fluttered. Dad, I'm sorry. I should have listened. You're going to be okay, I whispered. But I didn't know if that was true. The mansion lights flashed blue and red. And in that moment, chaos around us, my son fading. I knew the betrayal had only just begun to show its teeth. If this opening act, quiet pride shattered by a single, chilling moment at a birthday table, has your heart in your throat, comment your thoughts below. Have you ever seen something so wrong in a room full of smiles that you had to act before anyone else noticed? How did it change everything? Your courage in sharing helps light the path through these betrayals. The paramedics moved like they had rehearsed the scene 100 times, kneeling beside Maxwell on the Persian rug, ripping open his shirt, slapping monitors on his chest, shouting vitals into radios. Male, 42, sudden collapse, possible ingestion, pulse 128, BP dropping, respiration shallow. One jammed in 4 into his arm, while another pressed an oxygen mask over his face. Maxwell's eyes rolled back, lids fluttering, his hand reaching weakly for mine before it fell limp. I knelt there. Tuxedo jacket discarded, sleeves rolled, holding his other hand, whispering the same thing over and over. Stay with me, son. Stay with me. Guests pressed against the dining room walls, some crying, some filming with phones until officers barked them back. The string quartet had stopped mid-note. Instruments lay abandoned on chairs. Catherine had vanished down the hallway toward the kitchen. 2 officers in pursuit, radios crackling. Female suspect fleeing rear exit, emerald dress, heels, heading toward garage. Maxwell convulsed once, hard, violent, then went still. The lead paramedic looked up at me. We're taking him now. University of Chicago Medical Center. Ride with us. I nodded. Stood. Followed them as they loaded the stretcher through the wide front doors, down the marble steps, into the waiting ambulance. Sirens finally screamed, sharp, cutting through the Lake Forest night like a knife. I in the back of the ambulance. I sat on the bench beside the stretcher, Maxwell's hand still in mine. The paramedic, young, steady, worked fast. EKG leads, defibrillator paddles ready, Narcan drawn up just in case. Any known allergies? Medications? Medical history? I rattled off what I knew. No allergies, no prescriptions except occasional ibuprofen, history of high blood pressure control with diet. Then I added the part that mattered. His wife put something in his wine. Clear liquid. Small vial. I saw it. The paramedic didn't flinch, just nodded, radioed it forward. Possible poisoning. Unknown substance. Suspect in custody or fleeing. Notify ER tox screen priority. The ride felt endless. Sirens, lights flashing off brick mansions, Maxwell's chest rising and falling too shallowly. I kept talking to him, low, steady, stories from when he was small. The time he built a fort out of moving boxes in the old house. The way he'd sit on my lap and trace the veins on my hands like they were maps. "You're still my boy," I whispered. "You're still here." At the ER, they wheeled him straight into a trauma bay. Doctors swarmed. White coats, blue scrubs, voices overlapping. Get toxicology. Full panel. Activated charcoal if he's still conscious enough. Intubate if SATs drop below 88. Call poison control. They pushed me out, gently but firmly, into the waiting area. I stood there, tuxedo rumpled, hands shaking, until a nurse handed me a blanket and a cup of water. "He's in good hands, sir. Sit. Breathe." I didn't sit. I called Maya first, my daughter in Boston, pediatric resident, always calm in crisis. She picked up on the first ring. "Dad? It's late. Maxwell's in the ER. Lake Forest Mansion dinner. Catherine put something in his drink. Police are after her. He's critical." Silence. Then her voice, steel under the tremor. "I'm on the next flight. Text me the hospital. I love you." I hung up. Called Ade, cousin, brother in all but blood. "Maxwell's poisoned. At Northwestern Hospital. Come if you can." He was already grabbing keys. On my way. Then I sat, finally, on the hard plastic chair, staring at the linoleum floor. Minutes stretched into hours. Doctors came and went. Updates were sparse, stabilized for now. Still unconscious. Tox screen pending. No organ failure yet. At 2:14 a.m., Detective Langford, Lake Forest PD, mid-50s, tired eyes, found me. "Mr. Zaha, we need to talk." We moved to a small consultation room. 2 chairs, a table, fluorescent hummed. He opened a notebook. "Your call saved his life. Paramedics say another 5 minutes, and we might have lost him. You saw Catherine slip something into his glass." I nodded. Described it. "Vial, 2 drops, stir," the way she smiled after, Langford wrote. "We have her. She tried to leave in one of the guest cars, Mercedes from the garage. Officers pulled her over 2 blocks away. She's in custody. Claims she doesn't know what you're talking about. Says Maxwell has a heart condition. She was giving him medication." "He doesn't have a heart condition," I said. "He's healthy. Runs marathons. Annual physical's clean." Langford nodded. "We'll test the wine glass residue." Her purse had a similar vial, unlabeled. "Lab's rushing it." I leaned forward. "Why?" He met my eyes. "We don't know yet. But your son's company, Zaha Capital, has been in the news. Big acquisition last month. Rumors of board friction. Personal life? Affairs? Money troubles?" I shook my head. He never said. But he's been off. Tired. Shaky. I thought stress. Langford closed the notebook. "We'll talk to him when he wakes. In the meantime, stay here. We'll have a uniform outside his room. And Mr. Zaha, don't talk to the press." "Not yet." I returned to the waiting area. Ade arrived at 3 a.m. Bear hug. No questions, just presence. Maya texted, "Flight booked. Land 8 a.m. Tell Max I'm coming. At 4:47 a.m. The doctor came out. Scrubs wrinkled, face masked. He's stable. Tox screen positive for digoxin. High dose. Heart medication, but toxic in excess. Slows the heart, causes arrhythmias. He's on Digibind, antidote. We caught it early. He's sedated but responding to pain. Should wake in a few hours." Relief hit like a wave. I sagged against the wall. Ade steadied me. "Can I see him?" "Soon. We're moving him to ICU for monitoring." I waited to 6:22 a.m. They let me in. Maxwell lay in the bed, tubes, monitors, pale under the fluorescent lights. But breathing. Alive. That I took his hand. His eyes fluttered open, cloudy, confused. "Dad? I'm here." "What happened?" I swallowed. "Catherine. She put something in your wine. Police have her. You're going to be okay." His face crumpled. Confusion, Then horror. Then something deeper. Betrayal so raw it looked like physical pain. Why? We don't know yet. Tears leaked from the corners of his eyes. I trusted her. Everything. The company. The house. The future. I squeezed his hand. Rest. We'll figure it out. He drifted back under, sedation pulling him down. Maya arrived at 8:40, still in scrubs from her last shift, backpack slung over one shoulder. She hugged me first, tight, fierce, then went straight to Maxwell's bedside. She checked the monitors like the doctor she was, then leaned down and kissed his forehead. I'm here, big brother. He stirred, managed a weak smile. Maya looked at me over his bed. We need answers. By noon, Detective Langford returned. With news. Catherine was talking, limited, through counsel. Claimed Maxwell had been depressed. Suicidal ideation. The vial was prescribed anxiolytic she'd been giving him for months to help him sleep. Denied poisoning. Said I misremembered, but the lab results contradicted her. The vial in her purse. Digoxin, prescription strength, but not in Maxwell's name. Pharmacy records showed Catherine had filled multiple scripts over 6 months. Different doctors, different pharmacies, names of friends who didn't exist. Blood levels in Maxwell consistent with chronic low-dose administration escalating to acute overdose. Motive still murky. Langford leaned in. Your son's company, Zaha Capital, is under quiet investigation. SEC looking at insider trading on the last deal. Large short positions placed just before the acquisition announcement. Someone made millions betting against the target company. I stared at him. Catherine? She's on the board as non-executive director. Has access. And her signature is on several transfer requests, moving funds to offshore accounts. Small at first, then larger. We think she was siphoning. Slowly. Using Maxwell's signature when he was impaired. Maxwell, awake now, listening, closed his eyes. I signed whatever she put in front of me, he whispered. I trusted her. Langford continued. We found emails. She was planning to leave. New identity, accounts in the Caymans. The overdose. Either to silence him before he noticed the missing money, or to make it look like suicide so she could collect life insurance. $15 million policy, taken out 2 years ago. Beneficiary, her. Maxwell's monitor beeped, heart rate spiking. Maya reached for the call button. Easy, Max. He opened his eyes, tears streaming. I loved her, Dad. I thought we were building something. I leaned close. You were. She wasn't. Langford stood. We're charging her with attempted murder, embezzlement, fraud. Bail hearing tomorrow. She's not going anywhere. He left. The room fell quiet. Only monitors, soft beeps, Maxwell's ragged breathing. Maya spoke first. Voice low, fierce. I want to see her. I looked at her. Maya, I need to look her in the eye. Ask what? Maxwell shook his head weakly. Don't. She'll lie. Twist it. Maya met my gaze. Dad. I exhaled. I'll go with you. Visiting hours at the Lake County Jail were restricted, family only, through glass. Catherine sat on the other side. Orange jumpsuit, hair pulled back, makeup gone. She looked smaller. Ordinary. When she saw us, her face flickered. Surprise. Then something colder. Maya sat first. I stood behind her. Why? Maya asked. One word. Catherine leaned toward the phone receiver. I didn't try to kill him. Maya's voice stayed level. The digoxin says otherwise. Catherine looked at me, then back at Maya. He was going to leave me. Divorce papers drafted. I found them. He was going to cut me out. Company, money, everything. I just wanted to slow him down. Make him sick enough to need me again. Maya's knuckles whitened on the receiver. You poisoned him to keep control? Catherine shrugged. Small, almost casual. I loved him. In my way. Maya stood. You don't love. You consume. She hung up. Turned. Walked out. I stayed a second longer. Catherine met my eyes through the glass. You raised him too trusting, she said. I leaned close to the phone. And you mistook kindness for weakness. I walked away. Back at the hospital, Maxwell was sitting up, for still in, color returning. Maya told him everything, but he listened. Silent. When she finished, he looked at me. I want to press every charge. No deals. No mercy. I nodded. Then he reached for my hand. I'm sorry, Dad. For shutting you out. For letting her isolate me. For not seeing the signs. I squeezed back. You're here. That's enough. Maya sat on the bed's edge. Took his other hand. We're here too. He looked between us, tears falling freely. I don't deserve this. Maya leaned in, kissed his forehead. Your family. You don't have to earn it. You just have to keep it. He cried then, quiet, deep sobs that shook the bed that we stayed until the nurses made us leave. Outside in the hallway, Maya turned to me. He's going to need us. Long haul. Rehab. Therapy. Company cleanup. I nodded. Then we give it. She hugged me. Tight. Fierce. I love you, Dad. I love you too, baby girl. And in that fluorescent-lit corridor, son fighting for his life, daughter choosing love over hate, father standing as anchor. I felt the first true shift. Betrayal had struck at the heart of the table, but love had refused to leave the room. If this chapter, where poison is confirmed, motive unravels, a wife's mask slips, and a family begins to circle the wagons around their wounded, has left you breathless, comment your thoughts below. Have you ever had to watch someone you love face the person who nearly destroyed them? What did it teach you about loyalty? Your words keep these stories burning toward light. The ICU room at University of Chicago Medical Center became our temporary fortress over the next 72 hours. White walls, steady beeps from the cardiac monitor, the faint antiseptic smell that clung to everything. Maxwell drifted in and out of consciousness, the digoxin antidote working but leaving him weak, nauseated, his heart rhythm still erratic enough to keep the nurses hovering. Maya and I took shifts. She slept in the recliner during the day. I sat vigil at night, watching the green line on the screen rise and fall like a fragile promise. Catherine remained in Lake County Jail. No bail granted after the judge heard the prosecution's summary. Attempted murder with premeditation, financial fraud exceeding $12 million, identity theft on multiple offshore accounts. Her attorney issued a brief statement to the press. My client maintains her innocence and looks forward to her day in court. The media descended. Local stations camped outside the hospital. National outlets running segments titled "Heiress Accused of Poisoning Billionaire Husband." They used old photos. Maxwell smiling at a gala, Catherine on his arm, me in the background at some charity event. Headlines called it "The Poison Toast" or "Family Fortune Turns Fatal." I refused all interviews. Maya blocked reporters at the hospital entrance. Ade stood guard when we needed to step out for coffee or fresh air. We became a small, tight unit, 3 people against a storm of flashbulbs and speculation. Maxwell woke fully on the 3rd morning, clear-eyed for the first time, voice hoarse but strong. "Tell me everything," he said. Maya sat on the bed's edge. I took the chair beside him. We told him every detail Langford had shared: the chronic dosing, the forged prescriptions, the embezzlement trail, the life insurance policy, the planned escape. We told him about Catherine's jailhouse claim that he'd been suicidal. Maxwell listened without interrupting. When we finished, he stared at the ceiling. "I saw signs," he said quietly. "The fatigue. The headaches. I thought it was stress. The deal. I told myself she was helping, bringing me coffee, vitamins, making sure I ate. I let her handle the finances because I was too busy closing. I signed whatever she put in front of me. Blind trust." Maya reached for his hand. She exploited it. He squeezed back, weak but deliberate. "I want to see the evidence. Bank statements. Emails. Everything." Maya glanced at me. I nodded. Detective Langford arrived an hour later with a tablet and a folder of printouts, redacted for ongoing investigation, but enough to show the scope. Transfers to Cayman accounts in Catherine's maiden name. Forged signatures on company resolutions. Emails between her and a financial advisor in Zurich discussing asset relocation post-event. One message stood out. "Once he's gone, the policy pays out clean. No questions if it looks natural." Maxwell read in silence. His jaw tightened with each scroll. When he finished, he handed the tablet back. "I'm pressing charges on everything," he said. "No plea. No settlement. She doesn't get to walk." Langford nodded. "We're building a solid case. The digoxin levels alone are damning. Combined with the financials, she's looking at life if convicted." Maxwell exhaled, shaky. "And the company?" SEC froze the accounts she touched. "Your board called an emergency meeting. They want you back when you're able. But there's damage. Investors spooked. Some pulling out." Maxwell closed his eyes. "I built that from nothing. For us. For the family." Maya leaned in. "We rebuild. Together." He opened his eyes. Looked at her. Then at me. "I shut you out, Dad. After Mom died. I thought success would fill the hole. Catherine, she encouraged it. Said you were holding me back. Old world thinking. I listened. I reached for his other hand. You're here now? That's what matters. He shook his head, slow, pained. Not yet. There's more. He took a breath. Catherine was pregnant. 3 months. She told me last month. Said it was why she'd been so attentive. I was happy. Thought it would change everything. Maya's face paled. She lost it. Miscarried 2 weeks ago. Said it was stress from the deal. I believed her. Langford's pen paused. Maxwell continued. But now, I wonder. The timing. The digoxin, it can cause miscarriage in high doses. If she was dosing herself to control symptoms, or to end it quietly. The room went stilled up Maya's voice, barely a whisper. She killed your child? Maxwell's tears fell silently. I don't know, but I need to know. Langford closed his notebook. We'll add it to the investigation. Autopsy on the fetus if records exist. Medical files. She'll be questioned again. He left. Maxwell looked at us, broken open. I don't want to be the man who let this happen. I don't want to be the man who trusted a monster. Maya wiped her face. You're not. You're the man who's still breathing. Who's still fighting. I stood. Moved to the window. Chicago skyline gray and distant. We fight together, I said. No more secrets. No more blind trust. We rebuild. Company, family, everything, with eyes wide open. Maxwell nodded, slow, resolute. Then let's start. The next weeks were a blur of legal motions, hospital discharges, and quiet confrontations. Maxwell came home to the Hyde Park house, my house, because the Lake Forest mansion was now a crime scene. Taped off, investigators combing every drawer. He slept in his old bedroom, same twin bed from high school, same posters faded on the walls. Maya flew back and forth from Boston until she could take leave. Ade moved in temporarily, cooking, driving, standing guard when reporters tried the front steps. The board of Zaha Capital voted Maxwell interim CEO, remote for now. He worked from the dining table, laptop open, reviewing every transaction Catherine had touched. Forensic accountants found more. $18 million total siphoned, disguised as consulting fees and vendor payments. Shell companies in her name. A private jet booked for Zurich the day after the dinner. Maxwell didn't rage. He worked, methodical, cold. Every discovery he forwarded to Langford. Every forged signature he marked for the SEC. One evening, 3 weeks after the poisoning, Maya found him at the table at 2 a.m., staring at a bank statement. He's not sleeping, she told me that I went down. Sat across from him. You can't undo what she did by punishing yourself. He looked up, eyes hollow. I keep seeing her smile. The way she stirred the wine. Like it was nothing. I reached across. Took the statement from his hand. She's gone. Locked away. You're here. Alive. That's the victory. He exhaled, shuddering. I want to forgive her. For me. Not for her. But I don't know how. I thought of Grace. Of the nights I'd sat alone after she died. Angry at the world. At God. At myself. Forgiveness isn't forgetting, I said. It's releasing the poison so it doesn't kill you too. You don't have to see her. You don't have to speak to her. But you have to let go of the hate. It's heavy. He nodded slow. I'll try. The bail hearing came and went. Catherine denied again. Trial date set for 6 months out. Prosecutors added charges. First-degree attempted murder, aggravated battery, financial exploitation of an elderly person. They included me in that count, given my age and the trust documents she'd photographed. She pleaded not guilty. Then the letter arrived, forwarded from the jail. Catherine's handwriting. Elegant, slanted. Maxwell, I never wanted to hurt you. I loved you. More than you ever loved me. You were always half gone. Work, deals, your father's shadow. I thought the baby would change that. When I lost it, I panicked. The money was slipping away. I thought if you were sick, dependent, you'd need me again. I never meant for it to go this far. I'm sorry. Not for the money. For the baby. For you. Catherine. Maxwell read it once. Folded it. Handed it to me. Burn it. He said that I didn't. I kept it. In the shoebox with Grace's letters. Not for forgiveness. For memory. So he'd never forget what blind trust costs. Maya started therapy with him. Joint sessions. She spoke of her anger. He spoke of his shame. I sat in when invited. Mostly listening. One session, Maya looked at him across the circle. I almost lost you, she said. Because I didn't push harder when you pulled away. I won't do that again. He reached for her hand. I won't pull away. I watched them, my children, bridge the distance. Catherine had widened. The company stabilized. Maxwell returned to the office part-time. First virtual, then in person. He fired the board members who'd sided with Catherine. Replaced them with people who valued integrity over flash. Investors returned, slowly. The SEC cleared the legitimate deals. Zaha Capital survived, smaller, leaner, but honest. One Sunday, 6 weeks after discharge, we held the first family dinner at the Hyde Park house. No caterers. Maya cooked. Ade brought wine. The boys, Elijah and Theo, flown in for the week, set the table with Grace's china. Maxwell arrived last, walking slowly, still weak but upright. He carried a small box. Inside, new roses, peace and Mr. Lincoln, the varieties Grace loved. For the garden, he said that we planted them together, after dinner, under the porch light. Soil soft from spring rain. The boys patted the dirt. Maya watered. Maxwell stood back, watching. I almost lost this, he whispered. Maya linked her arm through his. But you didn't. I placed a hand on his shoulder. And we won't let you. He looked at us, tears shining. Thank you. The tension didn't vanish that night, but it loosened, enough to let light in. Enough to let healing begin. If this chapter, where poison's aftermath lingers, truths cut deeper, a son confronts his own blindness, and a family chooses slow, stubborn rebuilding over easy bitterness, has stirred something in you. Comment your thoughts below. Have you ever watched someone you love claw their way back from betrayal's edge? What kept them going, or what kept you beside them? Your stories are the quiet strength that carries these tales forward. The Lake County Courthouse stood squat and gray against a slate April sky. Columns chipped from decades of wind off the lake. Steps worn smooth by thousands of footsteps carrying hope or dread. Maxwell walked them slowly, still rebuilding strength after weeks of cardiac rehab. But his shoulders were square, his suit charcoal and crisp. Maya flanked his left side, arm linked through his. I walked on his right, one hand on his elbow, not for support, but for solidarity. Ade trailed behind us like a quiet guardian, scanning the cluster of reporters at the bottom of the stairs. No cameras were allowed inside the courtroom. The judge had issued a gag order on live coverage after the pretrial frenzy. But the hallway outside buzzed, reporters murmuring, phones recording discreetly. A few locals who'd followed the case since the headlines first screamed, heiress poisons husband at birthday gala. We ignored them. Security cleared us through the metal detectors. The bailiff led us to the front row on the prosecution's side. Catherine sat at the defense table, hair pulled into a low bun, navy blazer over a white blouse, hands folded neatly. She looked composed, almost serene. Her attorney, a silver-haired man in a $5,000 suit, leaned over, whispering. She nodded once. Didn't glance our way. Maxwell's breath hitched when he saw her. Maya squeezed his arm. He straightened. The judge entered. Black robe, no-nonsense expression. Everyone rose. The bailiff called the session to order. People versus Catherine Elaine Zaha. Case number 26, CF 00472. Charges: attempted first-degree murder, aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, financial exploitation of an elderly person, wire fraud, money laundering. Jury trial waived. Bench trial requested by defense. The judge looked over her glasses. Mr. Zaha, you may be seated. We'll begin with opening statements. The prosecutor, Ms. Elena Vargas, mid-40s, sharp eyes, stood first. She spoke without notes, voice clear and measured. Your Honor, the evidence will show that on the evening of February 14, 2026, the defendant, Catherine Zaha, deliberately administered a lethal dose of digoxin to her husband, Maxwell Zaha, during a family birthday dinner. This was not an isolated act. Toxicology and pharmacy records demonstrate a pattern of chronic poisoning over 6 months, escalating to an acute overdose intended to kill. Motive was financial. The defendant embezzled over $18 million from Zaha Capital, forged documents, and stood to gain $15 million in life insurance if her husband died. When he survived, thanks to the quick action of his father, she fled the scene. This is not a crime of passion. It is calculated, cold, and premeditated. She paused, looked directly at Catherine. The people will prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Catherine Zaha tried to murder the man she claimed to love, for money, for control, and for freedom from the life she no longer wanted. Saturday Catherine's attorney rose, calm, theatrical. Your Honor, what the prosecution calls murder, the defense calls a tragic misunderstanding fueled by marital strain and medical mismanagement. Mr. Zaha was under immense stress, business pressures, depression, insomnia. His wife, a devoted partner, administered what she believed were doctor-prescribed anxiolytics and heart rhythm stabilizers. The overdose was accidental, exacerbated by alcohol and his underlying condition. The financial discrepancies? Poor record-keeping during a chaotic acquisition period. No intent to kill. No intent to steal. We asked the court to see a woman who loved her husband, who made mistakes under pressure, not a murderer. Saturday, the judge nodded. The people may call their first witness. Vargas stood. The people call Maxwell Zaha. Maxwell rose, slow, deliberate. He walked to the stand, swore the oath. Saturday Vargas began gently. Mr. Zaha, describe the evening of February 14th, 2026. He spoke clearly, voice steady despite the tremor in his hands under the rail. It was my 42nd birthday. Family dinner at our Lake Forest home. 50 guests. My father, sister, cousins, business associates. Catherine, my wife, sat beside me. We toasted. She refilled my wine. I drank. Then headache, dizziness, chest pain. I remember my father catching me as I fell. Did you see her add anything to your glass? No, but my father did. Vargas turned to the judge. Permission to publish People's Exhibit 1. The security footage from the dining room. Granted. A large screen lit up. Grainy but clear. Catherine's hand slipping under the tablecloth. Vial glinting. 2 drops into the wine. Quick stir. The room went still. Maxwell's voice, low. I trusted her. Completely. Vargas continued. You were unaware of the chronic dosing? Yes. I thought the fatigue was work. The tremors, stress. I let her handle medications. Vitamins. Supplements. I never questioned. And the financial irregularities? I discovered them after waking in the hospital. 18 million missing. Offshore accounts. Forged signatures. She had power of attorney. I signed blindly. Vargas showed bank statements, emails, the life insurance policy. Maxwell identified each one. When she finished, he looked at the judge. I loved her. I thought we were partners. She used that. She poisoned me. Stole from me. Planned to leave me dead or broken. I asked the court for justice, not revenge. Justice. He stepped down, legs unsteady. Maya met him halfway, helped him back to the bench. The defense attorney rose, cross-examination. Mr. Zaha, you admit to high stress. Insomnia. Did you ever ask your wife for help with sleep? Yes. Did you ever take medication she provided? Yes. Did you ever read the labels? A pause. No. So you trusted her judgment? Yes. And the financial transfers. Did you review every document she presented? No. So it's possible, that she acted in what she believed was your best interest, and mistakes were made? Maxwell looked straight at him. No. It is not possible. She dosed me with a heart drug that nearly killed me. She forged my name on millions in transfers. She booked a jet to Zurich the day after she tried to murder me. Those are not mistakes. Those are choices. The attorney Saturday the judge called a recess. We stepped into the hallway. Maxwell leaned against the wall, breathing hard. Maya touched his arm. You did good. He looked at her, then at me. I saw her face when the video played. No remorse. Just calculation. I nodded. She's playing the same game she always did. Control the narrative. The afternoon brought the forensic toxicologist. Dry, precise testimony about digoxin levels, half-life, cumulative toxicity. Then the pharmacist who filled the scripts under false names. Then the financial analyst tracing the money trail. Every dollar accounted for. Every shell company linked back to Catherine. T 3:47 p.m. The prosecution called me. I took the stand. Swore the oath. Looked at Maxwell. He gave a small nod. Vargas began. Mr. Zaha, you are the father of the victim? Yes. You attended the dinner on February 14th? Yes. Describe what you observed. I spoke slowly. Every detail. The vial, the drops, the stir, Catherine's smile, Maxwell's collapse, my 9/11 call. Vargas showed the same security clip. I identified it. Did you know of any marital discord? No. They seemed happy. But I noticed changes in Maxwell, weight loss, tremors. I asked. He said stress. Did you confront the defendant after the incident? Yes. At the jail. She claimed Maxwell was suicidal, that she was helping him. And your response? I told her she mistook kindness for weakness. Vargas paused. Mr. Zaha, in your opinion, did Catherine Zaha intend to kill your son? I looked at Catherine directly. Yes. She intended to kill him. Slowly at first. Then quickly when he started to wake up to what she was doing. She wanted the money, the freedom, the life insurance. She wanted him gone. Silence in the courtroom. The defense attorney rose, cross. Mr. Zaha, you are 68. Vision not perfect. Lighting in the dining room was low. Candles, chandeliers. Could you have misseen the vial? No, you have no direct evidence of intent. Only what you believe you saw. I saw what I saw. You have a history of protecting your son. Perhaps overprotecting? I protect my family. Always have. He smiled, thin. So your testimony is colored by paternal bias? My testimony is colored by truth. Saturday, I stepped down. The judge adjourned for the day. Outside, reporters surged. We pushed through, Maxwell in the center, Maya and I shielding him. Ade drove. We returned to the Hyde Park house. Quiet. Safe. That night Maxwell couldn't sleep. He found me on the porch, same swing Grace and I used to share. Dad. I keep replaying her face. When the video played. No fear. No regret. Just nothing. I sat beside him. She's empty. I said. Always was. You filled the space. Now she's facing the void. He looked at the stars. I almost filled it with work. With her. Instead of you. Maya. The real things. I put my arm around his shoulders. You're filling it now. He leaned into me, head on my shoulder, like when he was small. I don't want to hate her forever, he whispered. It's heavy. Then don't carry it alone. We sat until the sky lightened. The next morning, closing arguments. Vargas stood last. Your Honor, Catherine Zaha did not make a mistake. She made a plan. Chronic poisoning to weaken. Acute overdose to kill. Theft to enrich. Flight to escape. Every action deliberate. Every lie calculated. The evidence is overwhelming. The motive is clear. Justice demands conviction on all counts. The defense rose. Final plea. Your Honor, doubt remains. Intent is unproven. Mistakes happen in marriage. In business. Show mercy. The judge recessed to deliberate that we waited in the hallway. Hours stretching at 4:12 p.m. The bailiff called us back. The judge entered. Saturday, this court has reviewed the evidence carefully. The video is unambiguous. The toxicology irrefutable. The financial trail damning. The defendant's actions show premeditation and intent to kill. I find Catherine Elaine Zaha guilty on all counts. Attempted first-degree murder, aggravated battery, financial exploitation, wire fraud, money laundering. Catherine's face, blank. No tears. No outburst. The judge continued. Sentencing set for 6 weeks from today. Defendant remanded into custody. Court is adjourned. The gavel fell. Maxwell exhaled, long, shuddering. Maya hugged him first. Then me. Ade clapped his shoulder as we walked out. Together, reporters surged again. This time Maxwell stopped. He faced the cameras, voice steady. My wife tried to kill me. She stole from my company, from my family, from our future. Today the court saw the truth. I'm grateful. To my father, who saw what no one else did. To my sister, who never left my side. To the investigators. To the doctors. I'm alive because they acted. I'm healing because they stayed. That's what family does. It stays. It fights. It forgives, not because it's easy, but because it's right. Thank you. He turned. Walked away. With US in no more hiding. In no more blind trust. Just truth. And the long road home. If this turning point, where evidence finally speaks louder than lies, a son stands unbowed before the world, and a family walks out of the courtroom together, has left your heart pounding. Comment your thoughts below. Have you ever witnessed or felt the moment when justice finally arrived? Not perfect, but real? What did it change? Your stories remind us that truth still has power. The 6 weeks between verdict and sentencing blurred into a haze of anticipation and quiet rebuilding. Maxwell threw himself into physical therapy with a fervor that bordered on obsession, jogging along the lakefront paths at dawn, Lifting weights in the home gym we'd converted from the old study. Even attending yoga sessions Maya dragged him to. His cardiologist marveled at the progress. Ejection fraction climbing. No more arrhythmias. The digoxin fully flushed from his system. "You're a fighter, Mr. Zaha," the doctor said during one checkup. Maxwell just nodded, his eyes distant. "I have to be." At Zaha Capital, the board meetings were tense at first. Whispers about the scandal, clients pulling accounts. But Maxwell faced them head-on. Transparency his new mantra. He hired forensic auditors to claw back the embezzled funds, tracing every penny through the labyrinth of offshore shells Catherine had built. By week 4, they'd recovered $12 million, with more in litigation. She thought she could bury it. He told me one evening over coffee in the kitchen. But money leaves trails. So do lies. Maya stayed close, her marketing firm on autopilot while she helped reorganize the family archives. Photos, letters, Grace's old journals. It was her way of anchoring us, reminding Maxwell of the roots that predated Catherine's poison. Ade, ever the silent sentinel, handled security upgrades, new cameras at the house, encrypted phones, even a private investigator to monitor any lingering threats from Catherine's shadowy contacts. "No more blind spots," he said flatly when I asked why the overkill. I didn't argue, and me? I spent those weeks reflecting, long walks in Hyde Park, visiting Grace's grave more often. I'd whisper updates. "Our boy's healing, Grace." But the scars, they're deep. The trial had peeled back layers I'd ignored for years. My own role in Maxwell's blind trust. How I'd pushed him toward success without teaching him to spot the wolves. Guilt gnawed, but so did resolve. Family wasn't just blood, it was vigilance. As sentencing day approached, the media frenzy reignited. Headlines screamed variations of "Heiress Poisoner faces judgment" and "Zaha family seeks closure." We ignored most of it, but one article caught my eye. A deep dive into Catherine's past, unearthed by some investigative journalist. It painted a picture I'd glimpsed but never fully grasped. Born Catherine Elaine Voss in a crumbling Detroit suburb. Father a factory worker who vanished when she was 8. Mother a nurse who drowned her sorrows in gin. High school dropout at 16. Waitressing gigs turning into modeling stints. Then a string of wealthy boyfriends who invested in her ambitions. A brief marriage at 22 to a real estate mogul twice her age. Ended in divorce after she drained his accounts. No charges filed. He settled quietly to avoid scandal. It was a backstory of survival turned predation, betrayal as both wound and weapon. I shared it with Maxwell over breakfast 2 days before the hearing. He read it silently, face paling. She never told me any of this. Said her parents died in a car crash. That she built herself from nothing. He set the tablet down. It explains, but doesn't excuse. No, I agreed. It doesn't. The parallels to real-life cases unnerved me. I thought of Pamela Smart, the New Hampshire teacher who seduced a student into murdering her husband in 1990, all for insurance and freedom. Smart's trial was a media circus, her composure cracking only at sentencing. Life without parole. Or Betty Broderick, the San Diego socialite who gunned down her ex-husband and his new wife in 1989 after years of bitter divorce battles. Broderick's story was one of rage born from abandonment, much like Catherine's absent father fueling her distrust. Broderick got 32 years to life, her appeals endless but fruitless. And then there was the chilling case of Stacey Castor, the Black Widow of New York, who poisoned 2 husbands with antifreeze in the early 2000s, staging suicides to collect life insurance. Castor died in prison in 2016, her daughter testifying against her in a betrayal that mirrored the family's united front against Catherine. These women, charming, calculated, cornered by their own deceptions, echoed Catherine's path. Betrayal trials like theirs weren't just legal spectacles. They were cautionary tales of how unchecked pain twisted into venom. Sentencing day dawned crisp and clear, the Lake County courthouse bathed in May sunlight that did little to warm the chill in my bones. We arrived early, Maxwell in a navy suit, Maya in a simple black dress, Ade scanning the perimeter. The reporters were thicker this time, microphones thrusting like spears. "Mr. Zaha, any comment on your wife's backstory?" one shouted. Maxwell paused, then shook his head. "Today is about justice, not excuses." Inside, the courtroom felt smaller, more oppressive, wood panels absorbing sound, the air thick with tension. Catherine was already there, shackled at the ankles, orange jumpsuit replacing her tailored blazer. Her hair was dull, face gaunt from jail time. No serenity now. Her eyes darted, calculating odds even in defeat. Her attorney stood beside her, papers in hand. The judge entered, same no-nonsense gaze. Court is in session. People versus Catherine Elaine Zaha. Sentencing phase. First came victim impact statements. Maxwell went first, approaching the podium with measured steps. He unfolded a single sheet of paper, but barely glanced at it. "Your Honor," he began, voice steady but laced with raw emotion. "Catherine was my wife for 8 years. I loved her, or thought I did. She was the one who made me laugh after long days, who planned our vacations, who promised forever. But that was the mask. Behind it, she poisoned me. Not just with digoxin, but with doubt. Every pill she handed me, every signature she forged, it chipped away at my trust, my health, my life." He paused, throat working. The courtroom was silent, every eye locked on him. Catherine stared at the table, fingers twisting. "I nearly died that night. My heart stopped twice in the ambulance. But worse than the pain was waking up to the betrayal. 18 million stolen. Lies piled on lies. She didn't just want my money. She wanted me gone. Erased." His voice cracked then, first time I'd heard it waver since the hospital. Maya gripped my hand, tears slipping down her cheeks. "But I'm here. Alive. Stronger. Because of my family." He looked at us. Me, Maya, Ade. They saw what I couldn't. They fought when I was weak. "Catherine, you took so much. But you didn't take that." He turned to the judge. "I asked for the maximum sentence. Not out of hate, though God knows it's there, but because actions have consequences. She chose this path. Now she must walk it." He sat, shoulders slumping as the weight lifted. The judge nodded. "Thank you, Mr. Zaha." Maya went next, her statement shorter, sharper. "Catherine, you weren't just poisoning my brother. You were tearing at our family. The nights I sat by his bed, wondering if he'd wake. The fear in my father's eyes. You did that. For what? Greed? Freedom? I hope prison gives you time to face what you've become." Then me. I stood, knees protesting the climb to the podium. Looked at Catherine, directly, unflinching. "Your Honor, I'm Abraham Zaha, Maxwell's father. I'm Abraham Zaha, Maxwell's father. I'm it." For that, I asked justice, full and unflinching. Let her sentence reflect the depth of her crimes. As I sat, Catherine's attorney whispered urgently. She shook her head, lips tight. The defense spoke next, mitigation. "Your Honor, consider Ms. Zaha's traumatic upbringing. Father absent, mother alcoholic. Poverty shaped her. Therapy records show deep-seated abandonment issues. She didn't intend murder. It was a cry for help gone wrong." The judge's expression hardened. A cry for help doesn't involve $18 million in fraud and a lethal overdose. Then Catherine herself, allocution. She stood, chains rattling softly. Her voice was soft, almost pleading, the first crack in her armor. "Your Honor, Maxwell, Abraham, Maya, I'm sorry. Truly. My life, it was never stable. Dad left when I was 8, took the car, the savings, everything. Mom worked doubles, but the bottle won. I learned early, trust no one. Take what you can." She glanced at Maxwell, eyes shimmering. "I loved you, Max. In my way. But the pressure, the business, the expectations, it suffocated me. The money, it was a way out. The pills, I thought they'd just make you rest. I didn't mean," her voice broke. Tears fell. The courtroom stirred. Whispers, a few sympathetic nods from the gallery. Was it real? Or another performance? I begged for mercy. A chance to rebuild. Therapy. Restitution. Please. She sat, head bowed. Maxwell's jaw clenched. Maya's eyes narrowed. The prosecutor rose. Vargas, fire in her voice. "Your Honor, this is not a victim. This is a predator. Chronic poisoning over months. Forgery. Flight plans booked. No remorse until caught. Her backstory is tragic, but irrelevant to intent. Recommend maximum. 30 years for attempted murder, consecutive with fraud counts. Total, 45 years. The defense countered. Probation for fraud, 10 years suspended for the rest. With good behavior, the judge cut him off. Enough. She leaned back, glasses perched on her nose. The room held its breath, minutes ticking like hours. My heart pounded. Maxwell's hand found mine, squeezing. Finally, Ms. Zaha stand. Catherine rose, trembling now. This court has considered all factors. Evidence, impacts, mitigation. Your crimes are heinous. Premeditated assault on a spouse, exploitation of trust, financial devastation. Your history explains patterns, but does not excuse actions. Parallels to cases like Pamela Smart or Stacey Castor are stark. Women who wielded charm as a weapon, betrayal as a tool. But justice is blind to sympathy. She paused, gaze piercing. For attempted first-degree murder, 25 years. Aggravated battery, 10 years, consecutive. Financial exploitation, 5 years, concurrent. Wire fraud and money laundering, 10 years each, consecutive. Total, 45 years imprisonment. No parole, eligibility for 30. Restitution ordered. Full $18 million, plus interest. The gavel cracked like thunder. Catherine gasped, legs buckling. Guards caught her, leading her away. She looked back once, at Maxwell. No words. Just a hollow stare. The courtroom erupted. Murmurs, flashes from aloud sketches. We stood, embracing in a tight circle. Maxwell's tears wet my shoulder. "It's over," he whispered. Finally over. Outside, the sun hit like a benediction. Reporters swarmed, but Maxwell faced them again, stronger now. Justice was served today. Catherine's sentence reflects her choices. But for me, it's time to heal, to rebuild. My family stood by me, through poison, trials, doubt. That's the real story, not betrayal. Resilience. We drove home in silence at first, then words tumbled, relief, plans, even laughter. That night, we gathered on the porch, wine, non-alcoholic for Maxwell, stories flowing. Maya shared childhood memories, Ade cracked rare jokes. Maxwell listened, then spoke. I thought about her words today. The backstory. It hurts, knowing the pain she carried. But it doesn't change what she did. I nodded. Pain doesn't justify poison. But understanding it, maybe it helps us forgive. Not forget. Forgive. He considered. Maybe. In time. The months blurred into years. Time's gentle erosion smoothing the edges of trauma. 6 months post-sentencing. Maxwell's full medical clearance. He ran the Chicago Marathon. Slow, but finished. Crossed the line into Maya's arms, me cheering from the sidelines. Zaha Capital rebounded. Innovations in green tech drawing new investors. He started a foundation, trust rebuilt, aiding victims of financial abuse. 1 year. Catherine's appeal denied. News clips showed her in prison orange, appeal attorney shrugging. No grounds. We watched quietly, no gloating. Just closure. 18 months. Maya married. A small ceremony in the backyard. Maxwell walked her down the aisle, beaming. Her husband, a quiet architect, fit seamlessly. Ade stood guard, but smiled more. 2 years. I retired fully, handing the reins to Maxwell. He thrived, balanced now, weekends free for family. He dated sparingly, cautiously. No more blind trust, he said. But hope flickered. 3 years. A letter arrived, from Catherine. Prison stationery, handwriting neat. Maxwell, I don't expect forgiveness. But know this. In the quiet here, I face what I did. Therapy helps. Your foundation, it inspired me to volunteer in the inmate literacy program. I'm sorry, truly, for everything. He read it aloud to us. We discussed, hours into the night. Burn it, Maya suggested. Or respond, I said. One word, acknowledged. He did. No more letters came. But a weight lifted. 5 years. Maxwell remarried. A doctor named Lena, kind eyes, no hidden agendas. Their wedding was joyous. Lakefront vows, family toasts. I danced with Maya, Ade cut loose on the floor. Maxwell's speech. I learned love isn't blind. It's clear-eyed. Grateful for second chances. 10 years. Grandchildren filled the house. Laughter echoing where silence once reigned. Maxwell, graying at the temples, taught them chess, stories of resilience. Catherine, paroled at 30 years, faded into obscurity. Rumors of a quiet life in a small town, working as a clerk. No contact. No need in me. At 83, I sat on the porch swing, watching the sunset. Grace's spirit lingered, whispers in the wind. We made it, I murmured. Family unbroken. The arc closed, not with vengeance, but renewal. Betrayal's echoes faded, replaced by bonds forged in fire. Justice arrived, imperfect but real. It changed everything, from victims to victors, shadows to light. If this resolution, spanning years of healing, where backstory humanizes without excusing, courtroom intensity yields to quiet growth, and family emerges unbreakable, resonates, share your thoughts. How does understanding a betrayer's past change, or not, the path to forgiveness? Your reflections weave the final threads. Thank you so much for watching my story all the way to the end. Your support means everything. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts.